Has it ever happened to you that you're reading an SAT question and think, wait, I think two options are correct? Well, that's exactly what the SAT wants you to think. Usually, one of these answers is a trap answer, and you need to recognize them properly in order to avoid making mistakes. A lot of the time, students lose points because of these and not because of their language skills, not because they didn't memorize enough vocabulary. Today, you're going to spend around 10 minutes here and we're going to learn three of the most common trap answers that the SAT puts forward. I'll also solve a couple of questions so that you understand this deeply, and then you'll start noticing these everywhere. Hi, my name is Hossein. I'm a non-native English speaker who's been helping other international students to ace the SAT English. And a lot of the times, people focus on what the right answer is. But knowing how the SAT writes the wrong answers can also improve your score significantly. Because sometimes they like to write the wrong answer in a way that looks like the right answer, but it's not. So let's start with the first trap, which is the most obvious one. So, trap number one is that the SAT loves answers that are almost correct. See, that's the key word. They are almost correct, but then they sneak in a very dangerous word, a very extreme word. Words like always, never, only, every, best, worst, words like that. When someone writes these words, they're making a very, very big claim. So they should be careful when writing these words. And sometimes these words are stronger than what the passage is supporting. Imagine the passage says, the Big Bang is a very well-established theory that many scientists support. Now imagine the answer choice says, all scientists support the Big Bang theory. See the problem? It's not all scientists, it's many scientists. And they are very, very different. When you say all scientists, you're making a very big claim. So be careful when reading such options. Now let's solve a real question together to see how this works. So let's have a look at this question. All right, I've got my text over here, my choices, and my question. I always read the question first. We talked about this in one of my other videos. Which choice most logically completes the text? One hypothesis regarding the regenerative ability of sea stars states that the ability developed as a defense against predators, with the sea star sacrificing a limb or even multiple limbs in an attack to ensure the organism's continued survival. However, recent studies have revealed that severed sea star arms often contain fertilized eggs and show no signs of external attack, indicating that a sea star may opt to sever its own arm intentionally to allow the reproductive process to continue without further impediment to the parent sea star. This revelation may imply that, all right, let's see what options we've got. A sea star assaulted by a predator may quickly lose its reproductive capabilities. That's not really something that the text discussed. There is no direct correlation between being attacked and losing your and the sea star losing its reproductive capability. So this is not the case. B. Sea star reproduction would have been impossible without the regenerative ability of sea stars. So this is the kind of trick the SAT plays on you sometimes. Impossible. Nobody talked about it being impossible. Sea star reproduction would have been impossible without the regenerative ability of sea stars. We don't know. It can be the case, maybe, maybe not. But to confidently say that it's impossible, that makes it a wrong answer. Option C says the ability to regenerate limbs evolved simultaneously in sea stars with the ability to reproduce. So evolving simultaneously, that's the main argument of this choice. Did we talk about the evolution of sea stars? Did we talk about simultaneity? Did we talk about them happening at the same time? Did the ability to regenerate limbs and the ability to reproduce evolve at the same time? The text doesn't talk about this. We simply don't know. And this is absolutely not the correct answer. Choice D says the regenerative ability of sea stars may be useful for other functions besides as a defense mechanism. This is exactly what the text says. One hypothesis said that it's for defense against predators, but then later we found out that it contains fertilized eggs and can be used for reproduction. So that showed us that this ability may be useful for other functions beside as a defense mechanism. That's simply the case, and we are sure about this, and there is no extreme language to cross this one out. Option D is the correct answer. Some say this next one is a very unfair way to test students because half of the answer is actually correct. Half of that choice is correct, but the other half is wrong. But the SAT doesn't care if it's 50% correct and 50% wrong. It is 100% the wrong answer. We have limited time on the SAT. And when we see the correct part of the answer, we get excited. We're like, okay, I'm gonna choose this one. Now let's see how the SAT tests your attention. Here's an example. Imagine you read this inside the passage. The author argues that technology improves communication, but a complete elimination of misunderstandings is yet to be expected. In one of the answer choices, you see, according to the author, technology improves communication and has completely eliminated misunderstandings. So here, almost all of the words are identical, but we have to be careful. The first part is correct, but the second part is not. Because the original text says a complete elimination of misunderstandings is yet to be expected, meaning it hasn't happened yet. But in the answer choice, it says it has completely been eliminated, which is not the case. So the first half is correct, but the second half is not. And one single wrong piece makes, it kills the entire answer. It's wrong. I'm gonna explain this next trap and then solve a question, because this one hurts so bad for smart students. Because the answer, it looks completely true. It is true, but it's not correct. It is a completely true statement according to the passage, but it's answering a different question. I think an example is going to make things much easier. You see this sentence in a text. Whales migrate thousands of miles. The question is, why does the author mention whales? Then one of your choices is, the author says whales migrate thousands of miles. Is it true? Yes. But does it explain why the author mentioned them? No, it doesn't. The question is different. So be careful and pay attention to what the question wants. All right, now it's time to look at a question. So I've got my text, my question, and my options. I read the question first. Which choice best describes the function of the third sentence in the overall structure of the text? We have the third sentence already highlighted over here. It's been underlined by the question itself. Now let's read. Electroreception is the ability of an animal to sense the flow of electricity around it by using specialized organs known as electroreceptors. Most species known to use electroreception are fish, including many sharks, elephant fishes, and eels. However, electroreception is not limited to fish. Monotremes, a group of mammals that includes the platypus and some echidnas, have electroreceptors on or near their mouths to help locate prey. There is also some evidence that bees can detect static electricity on flowers. Okay, so there's a lot of information here, but we're only focused on this single part. Let's see. Electroreception is not limited to fish. Let's see what the function of this third sentence is. What the function, yeah. Let's see what the function is. It generalizes the phenomenon discussed beyond fishes. which is the case. It says it's not only limited to fish, other types of animals have been seen to have this kind of electroreception as well. Let's see choice B. It offers another explanation of electroreception that is different from the explanation of how electroreception is used by fishes. This is one of those half right, half wrong answers. So we did talk about these other groups of animals and how they use electroreception, but we didn't talk about how different types of fish use it. So option B is not the correct answer. C. It provides more examples of animals with electroreception. This is another trap. So the text does provide more examples, but this is not the answer to my question. My question is about the function of this sentence. So I just cross this one out. C is not the correct answer. It explains how electroreception evolved in monotremes and bees. We didn't talk about the evolution of electroreception and how that evolution occurred. And this sentence clearly is not talking about that either. So option D is out, and choice A is the correct answer. So the next time you're looking at a few questions, try to notice these. Is there extreme language? Is half of the statement wrong? Or is it answering a totally different question? You'll be surprised to see how much you can increase your score by just noticing these tiny traps, and not by learning a long list of new vocabulary. I'm not saying that's bad, but I'm saying these can help a lot. If you enjoyed this video, subscribe, and if you want to learn with me or join our community where we have weekly meetings, Q&A sessions, and we practice together in order to ace that SAT, you can find all the links down in the description.